Alright, gamers from across all of YouTube, let's talk about this week what happened in video games from Nintendo's kind of surprise direct to PlayStation and Xbox doing battle once again in the console war to the release and review of Final Fantasy XVI. We have all that and more. Let's not waste any more of you guys' time, but wait to waste just a little bit of time. If you guys can do me a favor and like this video if you guys enjoy it, dislike it if you don't. Please consider subscribing as it does help me out tons. And with that, let's get into this week. First things first, an interview with CEO of Ubisoft and GameIndustry.biz kind of revealed some more inside information on how Ubisoft is feeling about the newest Mario and Rabids Sparks of Hope game. They said that essentially Nintendo had told them that they should hold the game back until the Switch successor, that this pretty much isn't a type of game that you have two on the same console. They were too hasty and were a little impatient, and they said that they should have heeded Nintendo's warning because they are a little disappointed with the underwhelming sales of the new Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope game. I think what it does sound like in the interview, though, is that there is still a future for this IP. There's still a future for this franchise. Maybe on the next Switch successor we see something. So I don't give up hope on this game yet. Now, let's get into the big Nintendo Direct that happened this week. Going into this Direct, I feel like everyone was on pins and needles. No one really knew what to expect. People were speculating Metroid Prime 4 would be here. Tears of the Kingdom DLC would be here. And then we got Super Mario RPG, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We have a new Peach game coming out in 2024. A new Luigi Mansion remake or remaster for Luigi Mansion 2, Dark Moon, back on the DS. It was a huge turn of events, I think. I don't think anyone really anticipated Nintendo to go as hard as they went. I think a lot of people were expecting DLC. A lot of people were expecting some ports. And yeah, we got DLC and ports, but we also got new games. We also got shadow drops. Things like Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 being shadow dropped the day of the Direct, with a physical release coming in September. Very Metroid Prime, which kind of cements the fact that Nintendo plans on doing this for the GameCube games, I think. They did it with Metroid Prime earlier this year. They did it again with Pikmin 1 and 2. Who knows? Maybe Paper Mario is the next one, or F-Zero GX. Whatever the heck is next, you know that Nintendo's plan essentially this way is to shadow drop the game and then have people double dip and buy the physical a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month later. And I'm not even going to hate them for it. They're coming up with a smart way to double down on their games, to double down on the profits. And if this is a way for them to release the games at a cheaper price, I'm down for it. I like it. Aside from that, the other theme besides like these new Mario games is also remakes. We got a remake of Super Mario RPG, which was somewhat rumored, and it just looks fantastic, phenomenal, chef's kiss. I love the way they captured what the original Super Nintendo game looks and feels like, just in a more modern sense. So fantastic right there. We also got a remake of Star Ocean's second story. This looks phenomenal. It's like a HD 2D game set in a 3D world, kind of. It just looks like a next evolution of the HD 2D that Square Enix has become popular for again. And I like that it found its own identity and it can kind of stick away from things like Triangle Strategy, Octopath, etc. Alright, as well as remakes, new games, Mario, all these themes, the final theme would be like freaking collections. We got the Arkham Asylum collection, we got Metal Gear Solid collection, two very big and full jam-packed collections. If you've never played any of these games, or you're just a fan of like the Batman Arkham series or of Metal Gear Solid, this looks like essentially the definitive way to play. I'm personally not interested in Metal Gear Solid right now, and Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City are games I played already and I love, and I have no interest in going into Batman Arkham Knight. With that being said, for those of you guys who have yet to play them, definitely give them a shot because they are fantastic. The last thing I kind of want to touch on about Nintendo is that how quickly they were able to turn around the narrative of Nintendo Switch being at its end, as far as like Tears of the Kingdom being the last big game. There still looks like they have some life left in the Nintendo Switch. It's still a hype console, even 6, almost 7 years into its life. Again, This is untreaded territory for a home console for Nintendo, and they look to be maneuvering around it masterfully. They're still dropping cool and engaging games, things that people want to play. And when I kind of hear the reception around the internet, I feel like everyone's kind of hyped about different games. You have tons of people hyped for Super Mario RPG, tons of people hyped for Super Mario Bros. We have people hyped for WarioWare, people hyped for Star Ocean Second Story. Again, there's things in this direct that kind of got and gravitated towards different people, and that's what a showcase does. That's what a direct does. That's what Nintendo does, and I'm just ecstatic for this direct. I'm ecstatic for the future of Nintendo, and yeah, I look forward to playing multiple of these games. We're only 3 years into the PlayStation 5's life, almost 4 years, and we're already getting news and information about the PlayStation 6, which seems bonkers to me. I don't even want to think about that right now. But this whole war for Call of Duty that Xbox and PlayStation are having right now is shedding a little bit more information on the way these kind of CEOs think and what they're like focused on. Eurogamer reported on pretty much the PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan. He was telling the US FTC that it couldn't give immensely sensitive information about its next console to a company owned by Xbox. They simply could not run the risk of a company that was owned by a direct competitor having access to that information. This raised concerns pretty much about game development, how that would interrupt the PlayStation 6, how Xbox would have a leg up on knowing what the hardware is going to be for PlayStation as far as the PlayStation 6 is concerned. I 100% understand why that would be a concern for Jim Ryan and Sony Interactive. What I'm curious about is why does that concern the FTC? Why would they care if Sony's hurting from this? This is an acquisition of a large company that makes games for PlayStation and Xbox. Of course it's going to hurt PlayStation if it's first party Xbox. People who are trying to act like Xbox isn't going to get special treatment from Activision after buying their company is crazy. They'd be a part of Xbox now. They'd be rooting for the green team. That's just how it goes. It doesn't mean PlayStation isn't going to get those games. But yeah, they're probably going to get a lesser quality. They're probably going to get a later release. Or maybe it just won't come on their PlayStation subscription service like it will on Game Pass. These are realistic things that are going to happen. Again, I don't understand why that's the concern of the FTC specifically. Again, I'm not really in the trenches of this. I'm not going to pretend like I really know about any of this stuff. I just thought it was really interesting from like an outsider looking in. I think it's kind of weird. Anyways, more headlines kind of came out from this when documents revealed that the PlayStation 6 release window is set for 2028. Man, that 2028 sounds like it's so far away, but also feels like it's so soon. I feel like 2023 is finally kicking off the PlayStation 5. I mean, I guess it gives us 5 years of the PlayStation 5, so that is a good enough time, I think. I just think it's weird that they have release windows set way on in advance. I mean, again, it makes sense for these big wigs to be thinking that proactively. It just, as a consumer, it always sounds really jarring when I hear about how futuristic their plans sound and what we might be getting for the PlayStation 6. Anyways, I don't know if that's accurate, but I mean, it doesn't sound too far off. So, Machine Games is currently working on an Indiana Jones games for the Xbox Series X and S and PC. A lot of us know this already. What some of us barely found out, again, due to some of these court proceedings, is that it was originally set to be a multi-plat releasing on PlayStation 5 as well. During a trial between Xbox, Activision, and the Federal Trade Commission, Bethesda's Pete Himes revealed that Disney had an agreement with ZeniMax for a multi-platform AAA Indiana Jones game. After the Bethesda acquisition, the agreement with Disney was amended. Now, this is a similar story we heard with Redfall. When Xbox purchased Bethesda, when they purchased ZeniMax and all their umbrella corporations underneath them, they knew that they canceled the PlayStation 5 version of Redfall. It makes sense for them to cancel the PlayStation 5 version of Indiana Jones. I'm sure there was tons of games that were canceled due to that purchase, and that just makes sense. I don't see as much people mad about this one as they were about Redfall for whatever reason, but that's just the name of the game. That's like the beasts that these things do. PlayStation 5 buys up exclusivity rights. Xbox buys up companies. This is just their business models. It's what they do. And it makes sense for them to do what's best in the interest of their consumers, of their platform, of their stockholders. So again, No issues there on my front. I just want to see what this game is at this point. I want to see a trailer. I felt like with the movie coming out, you would have seen an Indiana Jones trailer already. But hey, if Machine Games needs to cook, let them cook. A lot of Xbox fans were enraged when they heard the news that Microsoft is currently increasing the price of its Xbox Series X console in select places in the world, as well as hiking up the price for their Game Pass subscription. So the Game Pass subscription is now going up to $10.99 a month, which is different from their $9.99 a month. Xbox said, "We've held on our prices for consoles for many years and have adjusted the price to reflect the competitive conditions in each market." I feel like most people weren't really shocked by this. When PlayStation 5 raised its prices on its consoles last year in select markets, we knew Xbox Series X was going to follow suit shortly after. I think they were just holding off so they could kind of garner up some goodwill within the communities that, like, look, we held off as much as possible, where PlayStation 5 is like, go as soon as you can. And I feel like this is a huge indicator of the company's pockets. I feel like Microsoft has a big enough pocket where they could have held off a lot longer than Sony could have. And as far as Game Pass goes, this is what subscriptions are. This is what they do. I remember when I first got Disney Plus, it was like, what, $7 or something? And now it's like $12, $13, almost $15 for Disney Plus alone. This is what subscription services do. They raise their prices so they can continue to afford and pay these bills. And I get it. You know, you get people in, you get a large people in, and then you slowly, incrementally raise the rates. That way, no one's really mad about it. Right now, it's $10.99. And then, you know, a couple years from now, you're going to be paying closer to $20. That's just the way business works. It's the way these subscription services work. And I'm none at all surprised, to be honest. We just ended the Xbox like developer direct showcase, whatever. And now Xbox is talking about their indie showcase that they're going to be showing off on July 11th. This is something that they do to kind of bolster up their indie communities, to give people, smaller companies, a voice on the Xbox platform, and kind of just to showcase like what Xbox Game Pass can do for an indie devs and for startups. So I'm really excited to see this. I know they released a trailer with a bunch of games that I'm actually really interested in, like Sea of Stars, like Little Kitty Big City, stuff like that I'm really interested in, that I think looks really fun. And I don't want to say it's like I need to get Xbox Game Pass for this, but it would be really nice if I had Xbox Game Pass right now, because a lot of these games are really cool. Not to mention their third-party support, not to mention the cool-looking lineup of first-party games coming out next year and the years beyond. I don't know, Xbox Game Pass is starting to look like a really good deal, even with this price hike, and that is the plan. Smart of you, Xbox. Showcase all your games coming. Showcase Starfield. Showcase your 2024 plans, your indies. Showcase the diversity that Game Pass has. That way you can raise up the rate by $1. No one's none the wiser. No one cares, because now they're okay with paying the $9.99 when there was no games. Now that there's more games, yeah, you pay more. That's just how things work. And yeah, if I had an Xbox right now, I'd have Game Pass. I'm thinking about getting an Xbox really soon now, because, again, they're dropping games that I want to play. Todd Howard had an interview with Kinda Funny's XCast podcast. And the last time anyone Xbox related was on Kinda Funny was Phil Spencer, and that was a mess of an interview, depending on who you are, of course. Now, Todd Howard, I think, fared a lot better. But you know how it is with Xbox. We like to kind of tear them down. Whenever they're looking real good, we like to beat them down, remind them that they're third place and they're losing the console war. Anyways, Todd Howard had a very informative interview with the cast, and I was very excited to watch it. I think he held himself really well, and he answered the questions to the best of his abilities. One of the highlights that everyone likes to stick to is the fact that he said there's going to be 1,000 planets. Majority of them are procedurally generated. Majority of them are going to be empty. Only 10% of those 1,000 planets are going to be full of life and are going to be actually handcrafted by the team. Now, 1,000 planets, 10%. That's 100 planets full of life, full of handcrafted experiences and worlds. I played Jedi Survivor, which had like 4 or 5 planets. I freaking loved the game. Those 4 or 5 planets were enough for me. I couldn't even imagine playing a game with 100 planets, let alone 1,000 planets. Not to mention the fact that all of the 1,000 planets are gonna serve as like resource gathering, landscape surveying, looking up the faunas, building home building, stuff like that. That I feel like it's gonna help impact the rest of your gameplay. Now, if you're not really interested in exploring and like decking out your ship the best, decking out your characters, any of that stuff, I get it. You have no reason to go out beyond 100 planets. But for those people who plan on playing the main story and then to continue living in this world for the next years to come, yeah, I can see why they're excited for that. That sounds really fun. If I had more time in my life, I would love this. If I was back in high school and I was playing Starfield, I would have a blast. One of the things to me that stood up the most was Todd Howard still acknowledging the presence the modding community has for Bethesda even after the acquisition of Xbox. I don't know if this is something that he came out saying or anyone in Xbox came out saying yet, is that they're willing to accept modders into the community as openly as they always have. This is the first time I'm hearing him say it, and that makes me happy. Things like Skyrim, things like Elder Scrolls, all those things do better because of the help of the community. And for Todd Howard to say that they don't only just welcome it, but they also help create worlds where it's encouraged for modders to play around with it and make the experiences better. I'm wondering if they're gonna do the whole Skyrim thing where they start repackaging the game up with all the mods included. If they'll just add it as updates or whatever the hell is. I am really excited to see what the community is gonna do with this game, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun playground, and Bethesda should be very proud of this game when it releases. And I feel like a lot of people are really down on Starfield, and I'm starting to feel the upswing. I feel like more people are kind of coming around to it, and I'm excited. They did mention there's no fishing though, and I know a lot of people really like Skyrim for the fishing. So, no space fishing for you guys, man. E3 died in 2023, and there's no bringing it back. He's not coming back 2024, and it's not coming back 2025. At least it's not coming back to LA. A new report from Los Angeles City's Tourism Commission stated that EA will not be back in LA for 2024 or 2025, at least as far as we're scheduled planned right now. Now, I know a lot of people are saying this is the death of E3, this is the end of E3, and it very well could be. But what a lot of other people are saying is that E3 might be just moving. I know they said that they have plans to move to maybe New York City, maybe Las Vegas. Hey, Las Vegas is my neck of the woods, so come on over, man. I'll give it a shot. Anyways, wherever they plan on moving, they got to make sure that if they do it, they know what their plan is, what E3 is going to be in 2024, in 2025, and what venue best fits that. In LA, they had a huge venue that was kind of empty at times because they didn't have the people who really wanted to go anymore. So, pick a right venue, pick what you want your show to be, and then get the game publishers involved. Maybe you don't get Sony, Nintendo, or PlayStation, but you can get Square Enix's, Capcom's, Ubisoft's, those kind of guys that I think Summer Game Fest is kind of thriving off of that right now. And I know a lot of people in E3 memories want to say the best memories were PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox. And I get that. But as a thing of the past, those platforms are too big now. They're not going to do, separate events just for E3 anymore. They could do it on their own. Unless E3 gave them the free space just to get, people through the door. Maybe that's a route. Maybe they just got to play around with the idea. E3 doesn't have to be what E3 was anymore. Kind of change it up and make it fit the modern era. Alright, let's end things off with Final Fantasy XVI, the biggest AAA blockbuster game to release this week. Maybe the month. Who knows? Maybe the year. Maybe. Probably not. Anyways, Metacritic scores are out for this game, and it got a raving review. It got 88. And I think that is very phenomenal. That is good. That it's tracking well for Square Enix games, for Final Fantasy. I think it bodes well for the future of this company and this franchise. I think there was a couple of things holding it back. Things like performance. Things like maybe the characters aren't for you. Maybe the storytelling isn't for you. I get it. It's a game that's very set on its plan and its focus. And that might not jive well with everybody. And I get that. I do got to applaud the team for their ambitions as far as storytelling, for their engaging combat and the world that they created. I know it wasn't easy to kind of figure out how to move forward with Final Fantasy, and I know it's never an easy decision. I think a lot of the things that people are being critical about make sense, and I'm not going to argue with them. As someone who's been playing the game, I freaking love it. Performance rates, characters, all of it. I don't give a damn. The game is fun. The characters are cool. I love the storytelling, and I love the world. The performance does dip, and resolution does get a little choppy. But the thing that got me really excited about playing Final Fantasy 16 is that this is coming out really early in the PlayStation 5's lifespan. It's going to be able to grow with the platform. It's going to be able to grow with the console. Not to mention, this reminds me of Final Fantasy 7. Not in the way the game is structured or anything like that, but in the kind of landmark that it was. Final Fantasy 6, as much as it's like critically acclaimed, did not do well commercially for Square Enix. They had to change things up and do a complete 180. And then they did Final Fantasy 7, which was a commercial success, critical success. It was a showcase of what potential the PlayStation 1 had. And if you fast forward to the end of the PlayStation 1's lifespan with Final Fantasy 9, it is a night and day difference between Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 9, from storytelling, from characters, from graphics. Everything was a huge up. Now, with this coming out in 2025, and if the PlayStation 6 is rumored to come out 2028 or whatever, Final Fantasy 16 has time to grow, as well as they do have time, 5 more years, to develop another Final Fantasy game if they reuse a lot of these assets. I mean, back in Super Nintendo era, you would reuse a lot of sprites. Use a lot of your worlds, use a lot of the character models, animations, do what you can, and kind of flesh out a bigger and badder Final Fantasy 17 or a Final Fantasy 16 Part 2 or whatever. However Square Enix want to do it, I feel like they found a footing and the kind of direction that they want to move forward. And as long as they double down and don't stray away, they will have a promising future, not only with this franchise, but with their own company, with their own IP, and hopefully somewhere strong to land with the PlayStation 5. With that, we're going to end this news week roundup. Let me know what you guys think down below on any of these topics, and with that, I'll catch you guys on the next video.